I'm Margot True. I'm the food editor at Sunset Magazine here in Oakland at Jack London Square. And with me is the wonderful Gayle Pirie. Everyone loves Gayle from Foreign Cinema Restaurant. And she is known as an expert egg chef. The brunches at Foreign Cinema are legendary. In fact, we both believe that they're partly responsible for inventing the whole brunch scene in San Francisco, which, as you all know, is crazy. So, Gayle,
well, thank you, Margot.
You're so welcome.
We like to think that our brunch is full of passion and love, and we hope to make brunch for you sometime very soon.
It's really good. So what are you going to make today?
Well, you invited me back to have this Meyer Lemon Scrambled Egg dish, which I'm so grateful to hear the feedback that you love the recipe.
We love the recipe. Not only that, a lot of you loved the recipe. It's one of our highest, well, probably the highest ranked egg dish on our website, and we'll link to it right after we finish talking. We'll give you the link to it. And, so you really should make this recipe, and as you'll see, it's simple.
Well, it's always gratifying to hear that people like the recipe, not only the publisher, but people out there, so it makes us very happy that you like this recipe. So we're happy to make it for you now. And excellent. Should I start with the shallot?
Yes,
okay.
Please start with the shallot.
And, all I'm doing with the shallot is I'm going to just do a little mince on it, and we're going to let this shallot macerate in some vinegar, and what that does is it softens it, takes away that raw onion flavor, and it actually lightly pickles the shallots, so they're very refreshing and crunchy and bright. And usually when you macerate a shallot, you might need about 10 minutes. So we're going to let that macerate in a little bit of the champagne vinegar. And my shallots aren't perfect, and that's okay.
Oh my God, they look so perfect to me.
Aw. So here's
the knife skills.
Aw. So those are going to sit there while we talk about this salsa.
Oh, and what is this vinegar? Do you always prefer champagne vinegar to
We
other
use
types?
so much champagne vinegar, I can't believe it. It's all-purpose. It's very bright. If you're hunting for a very bright all-purpose vinegar, champagne vinegar is lovely to have in your kitchen, as well as red wine vinegar. But it's just a lovely juxtaposition to a red wine vinegar that we use a lot of too. We love vinegar, so this is a great local company too. The O people are great.
Yeah, so good. And by the way, if you guys have questions for Gayle as she's cooking, please ask them and she'll answer you right away. And also make sure to turn your volume up, please.
Hopefully you can hear us.
Yes,
we want you to hear us. I know I've been part of a Facebook audience member, and I can't hear myself, but I do turn up my phone. So hopefully you guys can turn up your phone and hear us. Why, these Meyer Lemons, people around the world will go, well, I can't get a Meyer Lemon. You can always substitute a regular lemon, only you won't use as much. And why we love these Meyer Lemons in California is that they have such a sweet fragrance. And that's why we can simply, chop these up and throw them in a salsa. And that's really why the salsa came into being, is that we had 100 pounds of Meyer Lemons dropped off at the restaurant. And we thought, how could we use up, we just don't want to juice them, we want to use the whole lemon. So that was really the trigger to invent this salsa, to use up the whole lemon. Right now I'm just chopping parsley, and I'm going to add it to the shallots.
And I'm noticing that your parsley is really dry too.
It is dry, and we like the Italian flat leaf parsley. It's fragrant, it chops well, it holds up well in a vinaigrette. But if you don't have flat leaf parsley, you can easily use curly parsley.
Well, that's kind of you.
Yes.
A lot of people say no, never curly parsley, but
No, it'll work. I would maybe chop the curly parsley a little bit more. Sometimes it can be a little crunchy, but this is very fragrant. I don't want to chop it too much because I want the fragrance of the parsley to not evanesce into the air. So while those are still macerating, I will chop these capers too.
Yeah, and the reason I asked about the parsley being dry is I've often had the experience, maybe you guys have had too, of rinsing your parsley to get sand or whatever off, and then chopping it, and it gets all clumpy and it's hard to cut? You know,
we have to carefully wash parsley for that very reason, Margot. So luckily, we are able to. This was very, very clean parsley, and it didn't require too much dredging in water. So it is something that happens with herbs. So do be careful. Make sure they're very dry, because it will affect the vinaigrette or whatever it is you're making. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to our macerating shallot.
Lovely.
Yeah, and then I'll use the chopstick to kind of stir it around.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go ahead and just add this parsley. So notice there are bigger flakes and smaller flakes. We're going to add about half a cup into there.
Okay. And the name of the recipe again is Scrambled Eggs with Meyer Lemon Salsa, right? Meyer Lemon Salsa Verde or Meyer Lemon Salsa?
I think it's Meyer Lemon Salsa.
Just salsa.
Yeah,
yes,
I think
you're right.
And so we've got the parsley, shallots, and caper, and salt. And then the Meyer lemons really are so soft, and this pith is totally edible. And again, it's just this recipe was a way that we could simply use the entire lemon. So in the recipe it says 1 small Meyer lemon. Usually they're tiny, and you can chop up the whole thing like a piece of apple. It is a fruit, so we do like to use the whole thing. You can do a fine chop, but we kind of felt like on the egg dish at the restaurant that it was really pretty to have a pinwheel effect. So notice I'm doing big chunks of refreshing Meyer lemon, and I'm just going to kind of come in here. Luckily, when you cut into a Meyer lemon, the seeds are usually right there, so you just flick them out, and then you've got this amazing fruit that's available to you for anything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and just...
And this bouncy...
You can smell it.
It's so great. It's so refreshing and sweet. And this enormous truckload of Meyer lemons that came to the restaurant one day, was this from a friend? Or
it was from a friend and purveyors. It was a Meyer lemon explosion, I think, 2.5 years ago.
Huh.
And since then, since this recipe, we now make it every year whenever we have Meyer lemons. So it's kind of lovely. It reminds us of that time. It's like, how are we going to use these lemons? Everything's sort of sitting in there, and I'm just going to pour some olive oil on top. This can be something that you totally can do ahead and have it resting a day or two in advance. Although it's nice to let it use it. It's nice to use it the day that you make it, but if you wanted to have it around, it does last. And I'm going to add more lemon to that, but you can see how pretty it is.
Yeah, already.
And it looks like jewels.
Beautiful.
And eggs are such a nice canvas for jewel-like salsas because they're neutral and rich. So a bright salsa like this is just a natural partner.
Now, if you can't find the Meyer lemons, say you're hankering for this salsa and Meyer lemons are gone for the year, is it all right with regular lemons?
You can totally use a regular lemon. You just maybe use a little bit less, and then definitely wash it well, scrub it. Some standard lemons are treated, so you want to wash it, dry it, taste the lemon, make sure it's not too bitter, and if the skin is appealing to you, go ahead and treat it just like this. Or if you feel like it's really bitter, you can peel the lemon and then just use the fruit within, and then chop that up. And use that in the salsa. It really depends on the lemon.
Yeah. Orange would be too sweet in this, right?
Orange doesn't deliver that sparkle.
Right.
But if you got a really, like maybe a sour orange, Seville is almost too strong, overpowering. But, you could play with an orange. It's really about taste profile. And if you just wanted to do orange zest in this salsa, that works too. Oranges and eggs do go well, so long as it's not too sugary.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of eggs, you brought these gorgeous eggs. What do you have here? Outdoor hens. Can you guys see
yes,
this?
if we're going to talk about eggs, let's talk about choosing a really good egg. And it's not necessarily. Sometimes the press confuses the public. When they say cage-free, we're all thinking, oh my God, there's a chicken running across a pasture. Not so, and probably while a pasture-raised egg is very noble, sometimes the idea of a chicken running around, in a big area isn't really what happens with a chicken, because they would like to be in a small, confined area, so they feel very safe. So it's not a huge field that they're running down, so they like small areas.
They like to cluster, yeah. We raised chickens at Sunset several years ago, and we noticed the clustering, but they did like to be outside. They love to eat the bugs.
Yes, and flower petals. And I would say if you're at the market, or use your farmer's market, and talk to your farmer about it. But what's really important is that the chickens are eating well and treated well, and that's a really wonderful cycle to be a part of. That means that the chickens are well taken care of and they're producing a beautiful egg. So really the most important thing is what chickens are eating, how they're treated. Cage-free is really sort of this thing that is confusing, because pasture-raised is wonderful, and then organic when possible, and then check in with your farmer's market really for the best egg.
Yeah, to know, because cage-free, I believe, means that the chickens have access to the outdoors. There's a door in whatever confinement they're in.
Exactly.
But they don't necessarily go through that door because they don't know what's out there. So they don't go through the door. But if it says pasture raised, they are actually on
They're
pasture.
out there. They're eating blades of grass and bugs and lovely things.
Yes.
So we know that they're well cared for. So at the restaurant, we've got Glaume Ranch eggs, and we know that chickens are very well cared for, and the eggs are extraordinary. And we can tell time of year just by looking at an egg yolk.
Really?
In the winter, the yolks are a little more pale, and then when we start heading into spring, the yolks become really, really golden and yellow, and the scrambleds and the omelets are super bright. And then as we head into winter again, after fall, they start, egg yolks are smaller, the color of the yolk is a little paler, so you can really look at nature through the lens of what color are your yolks today.
Yeah, the seasonal egg. And I'll say one more thing, then we're going to go to an ad break. But we noticed when we were raising chickens that the eggs were much firmer inside, meaning firmer whites and a very plump little yolk that sat up straight, almost like it was sitting.
Super viscous.
Yes, if the chicken was young. A young chicken lays really like stand-up eggs. It's interesting.
And as the eggs age, in your fridge several weeks, what happens is, all that viscosity and the yolk structure start to break down.
Yeah.
You can tell when you've got an older egg that you've held on too long for. Because they just don't perform as well.
Exactly. And even the egg from a young chicken, if it sits around, will do the same thing. It'll get all flabby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're quite a barometer into the life of the bird. And
okay. Well, we'll be right back. I'm the food editor at Sunset Magazine, and I'm with Gayle Pirie, the co-chef at Foreign Cinema Restaurant in San Francisco, and we're talking eggs. She's in the middle of showing us her excellent, I won't say excellent, but I just did.
She did. She did it.
I did it. Her recipe for scrambled eggs with Meyer Lemon Salsa, really good, one of the top performing recipes on sunset.com, and she's showing us how to do it.
So happy to hear it. And we were talking about eggs, and just so we all know, a brown egg has nothing to do with fertility. It's just really the chicken variety. So a brown chicken will lay a brown egg, and a white pullet chicken will lay a white egg. At the restaurant, we're blessed with, we get Araucana eggs from the beautiful speckled Araucana chickens. And those eggs are very beautiful. I didn't have a chance to get them today, but we've got these really nice organic pasture-raised eggs. Super lovely to support. And look at the size of these egg difference. So this is a large bird. And as the birds get bigger, they lay bigger eggs. And a younger chicken will lay a smaller egg. And as the bird is growing, their eggs get, so you can kind of tell a lot from the size of chicken from just the egg size. And a pullet will lay smaller, like a peewee egg.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a peewee egg?
Yes,
Yes.
and those are from little chickens
Little
too, like
chickens,
little breeds of
teenagers,
chicken.
and smaller birds. I just
Yeah.
love it. I love chickens.
I do too. They're great. There's nothing so comforting as the shape of the chicken. Don't you think that little...
Oh, it's just adorable. And I have little toys at home of little porcelain chickens because the shape is just so darn cute.
It is, it is.
So this is almost about ready to go. It's nice to let this sit for a few minutes, but what we can do is talk about egg pans, and maybe we can do a little bit.
Yeah, and I wanted to show everybody your book about eggs. Now, this was published in, I think, 2000, the year 2000.
Yes.
It's been a while. But this is such a sweet book. If you guys don't have this book and you like eggs, you should get this book. There are all kinds of cool ways to cook eggs. Very simple, and nothing is really complicated in this book, but some really inventive ways that draw on many cultures. You have Japanese shawanmushi in here.
Yes, that's right.
You know, but she also shows you a way to scramble eggs using a chopstick, which I think is just the coolest
Well, it's
thing.
so fast, and part of the inspiration to get this book out was we really believed in the wholesomeness of eggs, and we have forgotten the goodness of eggs, especially when eggs were in jail, which was the mid-90s, and we couldn't publish our book for a couple of years because eggs were in jail. And then finally in 99, they let them out, and our book got published.
And who was the jailer? Was it the nutrition police?
You know, I don't really know, but I think the cholesterol studies have now advanced so that we know that they're full of great ingredient. An egg is full of goodness all the way around, and so the book got published simply because time honored the egg, and we believe that this is one of the finest foods you can eat if you don't have anything in your fridge and you just need to make an egg, or if you just need to make a quick meal. This is it, and this is super fast. If you were just having no time to make a meal for yourself, this is a really quick little way to scramble an egg, and I love this method because you don't need to get too much dirty. I'm using a little 9-inch egg pan that is like one of the greatest finds and to have in your kitchen, because it's just about $18, and it's just one of those lovely things to have around for eggs, since people get a little nervous around eggs. So really simply what I'm doing is just sort of scrambling it with a chopstick. We'll add a little bit of salt here. And in the book we have a recipe that calls for scallions, and you can use mushrooms in the pan, but it's just a really quick way to scramble an egg. If you're just trying to get out the door and you just need a little bit of protein, you can scramble it just like this, and I've got medium heat. And it's just tender little stripes of delicious wholesomeness.
And you get to sort of taste the yolk separately from the white.
Yes, and it's just divine. Then you can just put that on a piece of toast or a little rye crisp. Eat it out the door, you're done. And it's just you don't get too much dirty. Then this you eat, then you're wiping out your pan, and then this just can go in the dishwasher. No whisk, no bowl, nothing. So Margot loved this recipe, so I'm honored that she wanted me to demo it for you. It's very simple, but that's it.
Yeah.
So,
and you even in the book, which I'm going to show again.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Country Egg, City Egg. You have a great camp egg recipe where you scramble the eggs, and then it's a breakfast burrito actually, and you have tomatoes and onion in there first, and the tomatoes. You put in the eggs, and I don't remember if you're using the chopsticks there, but maybe it's a fork. But then you put the tortillas to act as a lid on top of the egg pan. Thought that was genius.
And then you wrap everything up.
Because then the tortilla gets all soft and hot and tender, and then you just wrap it all up. You don't need a plate. You've just made a pocket for your eggs.
And eggs are just the greatest fast food. They really are fast. And if you have nothing in your fridge, you could make a meal out of a couple eggs. And if you've got a beer in there, what we like to do with eggs is add a little bit of effervescence from beer, or say champagne, and it just gives the eggs this amazing little lacy texture, a little effervescence. It's
really
je ne sais quoi. You don't
Do
really.
you think, Gayle, that we could, I don't know, put that on a plate?
Yes.
I've got some champagne.
Yes.
Can I see you make an egg with champagne?
Sure.
Oh, that'd be so
I might have
cool.
to make an omelet
Wait.
though.
Well, I think we have time because
Okay.
eggs are so fast.
That's right. So anyway, I will put this on a plate.
Yeah, here, I'll give you a plate.
And we'll do an omelet with champagne, and we happen to have a bottle of champagne. So this is
Aren't we
perfect.
lucky? We're actually planning to have this with the egg.
It's all right. I'm just going to wipe this. Okay.
Okay.
And
do we have a question by any chance from off camera? We do? Well, I actually have one of my own, which is,
great.
You also talk, Gayle, about vinegar on eggs, which I thought was very, very interesting. Because typically you encounter vinegar in recipes when you're poaching an egg, and you actually have feelings about vinegar in poaching eggs.
Oh, we have feelings.
Versus putting on eggs.
We have feelings. We love acidulation paired with eggs, but we do draw a distinction among the procedure of poaching egg in slightly vinegared water. And while we understand the methodology, I think people are trying to get the egg to congeal so they can get out of the water. It does impart this kind of crazy little, that sounds good. The vinegar in the water does taint the yolks, and we feel like it toughens the yolks. It does make the egg perform, meaning it will congeal in that acidulated water. But we prefer just a little bit of salt in the water for the same result without toughening the whites. So yeah, that's our thought there. So here's what you would do. You would just add a little bit of, whoa.
Okay.
A lot of action.
That's exciting.
Yeah. We're okay. I'm okay. I'm not sure our camera lady's all right. Okay.
Oh gosh, you guys can't see this.
She's whack.
But Zoe, who's holding the camera, is soaked with champagne.
But it smells. The aroma is divine, and I love it that it's on my. So I like that it's on my hands. Okay, so I'm going to turn this up again over medium heat. And, you know, I could do an omelet, but should I just do scrambled?
Sure,
or
I'm just
what should I do?
Intrigued. Well, I'm just so curious about the effect.
So I've already added the champagne to this, and then we're going to add a pinch of salt.
So about how much champagne would you
it's a tablespoon. So I did 3 eggs.
It's,
you know, a couple teaspoons, tablespoon. Not a lot, but just enough to kind of add that effervescent flavor to the eggs, because they're such a wonderful canvas.
How fascinating. And then would you do things like, if we had it here, would you fold sour cream in there? Things that one would associate with sparkling wine, or sour cream chives that
Well, you can, it's, you know, a truffle is nice. Not everybody has a truffle, and not everybody has a bottle of champagne. But if you've got that little leftover sparkling from last night and you just want to make a bright, add a little bit of champagne, a little sparkling wine to your eggs, or, you know, like I say, lager is really fun. Beer is fun as well. It's a different taste profile altogether, but it's really delicious.
Kind of a hair of the dog sort of egg.
You can smell it in there. Now, you know, typically this would be the base of a champagne omelet at Foreign Cinema, and then we would add creme fraiche and cheese, and what I'm going to do is just, I guess what I'm going to do is, I could go omelet or I can go scrambled. What do you prefer?
Well, you're going to do scrambled.
So why don't we do an omelet?
So let's do an omelet.
All right. So I've got high heat here. And this is a 3-egg situation. And this is a great pan to have around because it does do a lot of the work for you.
And what is the brand of this?
Let's see. I'm going to find out.
Okay, once you're done.
When we turn this pan over, we can get the, but these are available everywhere. Williams-Sonoma, I even think Costco has these lovely little 9-inch Teflon pans that are just, you never want to put them in the dishwasher. You always want to wash them just with a dry cloth or a wet cloth. So notice what I'm doing is I'm just trying to create layers of egg underneath the cooked egg, and as we continue this process, we're letting the raw egg run underneath, and we make a lot of these at work, and I've got lots of wonderful cooks who can do this, but back in the day, this was my job. John was in charge of French toast, and I did the scrambling. Not that he can't make an omelet, by all means. He can make a mean omelet. In fact, it's his favorite breakfast is omelet. And then if we wanted to add filling, we would add it now. But you can see that I'm trying to let that egg still run underneath.
So basically, when you add the filling, you want the egg to still be kind of wet looking on top.
It should be creamy. And the temperature of egg at Foreign Cinema that we prefer is a medium rare. So that's tender creamy. Although if you're a fan of well-done eggs, you can easily get a well-done egg. And so now what we're going to do is just kind of flip it. And even though I've kind of gone a little too far, all we're trying to do is get those layers inside to be completely cooked. And I've got this beautiful little envelope of cooked layer. Mid-rare really is our special temp. But if you wanted a well-done omelet, this thing is done. We just need a plate. And you see that the shape of this pan really helps us create that perfect, beautiful little envelope of egg. And
that
so
looks beautiful.
Can
I put some leftover parsley on it?
You sure can. And it smells good, and there's champagne in there, so it's a little elevated.
Okay, I just have to take a quick bite.
Oh, good.
We're not even at our real recipe yet.
We were just demoing an omelet, which I love. So the champagne does add something. So if you are, entertaining, you first. Entertaining, and you do have a little bit of champagne left, save it, put a cork in it, put it in your fridge, because you never know when you want to just make a fast little breakfast. That's where that sparkling or champagne can go. Is it good? Good. Okay.
You can definitely taste it.
It's special, isn't it? I'll do this end. So it's plump, tender, creamy, mid-rare, not runny or underdone, but plump, tender, creamy.
And the butter really comes through. Delicious. That is so
And doesn't
cool.
it have this lacy,
It does. It does.
ethereal effect? And I'm eating with my mouth. I'm talking with my mouth open. Isn't that delicious?
It's really good. So simple.
It's kind of elevated. Yep.
Okay.
But good eggs and a little sparkling salt, you're home.
Now we'll move on to the pièce de résistance for today, which is the scrambled eggs with Meyer Lemon Salsa. And in case you guys are just joining us, I'm Margot True. I'm the food editor here at Sunset Magazine in Oakland. And with me is Gayle Pirie from Foreign Cinema, who is a brunch pioneer in the San Francisco Bay Area. And she's going to show us one of the most popular recipes on our website that she gave us.
What I've got is a bigger pan here, Teflon coated, and we were talking about the texture of eggs being tender, creamy, mid-rare, and when we train our cooks at Foreign Cinema, we're really trying to evoke a sense of texture to the cooks. That what they're after is really trying to come up with a very voluptuous, tender, creamy, cloud-like texture with scrambled. So many times, you get scrambled eggs out, and I'm going to move that over a tiny bit. So that was on high. And, they just kind of tend to get dried out in the pan. And what we want to avoid is the dried out nature of scrambled eggs. So I've got enough in there, I think. I'm going to put that back. It's hot. It's bubbly. I'll put it over here while we talk about how to actually scramble your eggs. So we're going to do 5 eggs. This recipe that Sunset has is for 2. And we have a very special way to whip these eggs, and we use a fork, and typically it's a little more succinct than a whisk. And why we use a fork is just simply the scale is a lot more appealing. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to use this bigger fork. So the tines of the fork are sort of the perfect scale. A whisk is just sometimes not as elegant.
Does it overbeat the egg?
It can. It can overbeat the egg, and sometimes you're just not quite getting it. There's actually a little too much air, and you could deflate the egg accidentally.
Okay.
So the fork tends to just give us that immediate blend. For every omelet and scramble that we make at the restaurant, the cook is really, he or she needs to give this a lot of time. So this is a 5-egg scramble, so it's for 2 people. Typically we would use 3 eggs at the restaurant for an omelet, a frittata, or a scrambled. And so it looks very well beat to me. And then we're going to add a little bit of salt and our cheeses. You can use any cheese that you'd like.
And today we've got 3. I think you've got Fontina, you've got Gouda or Comté, and you have a bit of Parmesan that's going to go on at the end, right?
That's right. And then a trick at the restaurant is we add homemade creme fraiche to our eggs.
Ooh.
So to these, we've added 2 tablespoons of creme fraiche. You can make your own or store-bought is fine. And we're gonna whip the cheese and the creme fraiche into the eggs as well. And this kind of makes your eggs super rich, which is what we're trying to do at the restaurant. So it feels otherworldly and special when you come to the restaurant. So I'm just going to go ahead and add these eggs to the pan.
Yeah, so cool.
I'm going to turn it up a little bit, and the trick to this is just not to let them be in the pan too long. And you can stop me at any point.
And you had said such a cool thing in the recipe about the figure 8 maneuver.
Yes.
And I wondered if you could show us that.
Oh, I'm going to have to because, so, here we go. This is a lot of BTUs on this stove. I like it. And so what we're doing is we're moving these eggs, and we're trying to get them to cook super evenly. And it's a gentle sort of crazy 8 or circular motion. And you can watch the eggs cook.
And you're still over kind of medium to medium-high heat, right?
Yeah, it's medium-high right now. And it's a big pan, and we're doing 5 eggs, so it's slower. If you were going to do 2 eggs at home, it would cook a lot faster. And you wouldn't use a pan this size. This is perfect for 5 eggs, though. So you can see the eggs hard at work, rising, and becoming enveloped
wow,
structurally. And what you want to do is just don't let them sit too long. They do enjoy being maneuvered. I'm doing the famous crazy 8.
And this is so you can get big fat curds, right?
Yes, so the ultimate goal are these voluptuous, bosomy curds that are so coveted at the restaurant. We like them light as a feather, but rich. So every bite is rich, but very ethereal. So now what's happening is we're almost there. And big mistake is to think that they're raw right now. They're not. They are almost cooked. I'm going to turn it down a little bit.
Bring our plates.
And you see how the egg is, look how beautiful that is. Now, my pan is so hot that I'm going to turn it off. And the residual heat within the pan actually helps finish the eggs.
Wow.
So I'm going to continue to do a few more flips and curves, but topically they're starting to look tender, creamy, mid-rare. So what we'll do is, and you can feel them, but they feel really soft and amazing, don't they?
Pillowy.
Very pillowy, and they're cloud-like. And we're just going to divide these in 2. We've got just a little baguette there, and I knew when to stop in the pan, and as you cook you really need to use your senses and kind of look and see what's going on with the egg. So they're light, but
Wow.
there's a firmness to it, but still soft, supple, voluptuous. And then here's how we would finish this, is just by spooning over as much as you'd like. And so this bright lemon is just really the perfect accompaniment to the rich egg. And you see there's a jewel-like effect with the shallots and the bright lemon.
Oh my God, it smells so good.
It smells really good.
Wow.
Now the recipe calls for Comté and Fontina, but a sharp cheddar, your favorite cheese, is also okay.
I will reach that for you.
And then to finish the eggs, we're just going to do a little, as if it needs it, we're just going to add a little layer of Reggiano Parmesan over the top. You can shave it, and we'll just grate this now.
Oh, heaven.
It's a heavenly egg. We call them heavenly just because of the texture, but we pair it with all kinds of stuff. But it's the egg technique that it makes it heavenly, texture-wise.
Meanwhile, Madame, some sparkling rosé
that looks
for
great.
you. This is from Gloria Ferrer, our neighbor up in Sonoma.
That's beautiful.
And gosh, speaking of wine, as we are toasting your fabulous recipe, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming and showing this great dish. What are you working on next?
Well, we're just in the final edits of our manuscript for the 16-year foreign cinema cookbook that took so long to put together. And that's with Abrams in New York, and we're looking forward to that. And we are developing a wine bar as another arm of the business. It's in the same building, and it just sort of extends our vision of wine and to be able to showcase the wine list in a very special, generous way, which we're looking forward to.
And when is that potentially
Probably 2018.
2018.
So the book is 2018, the wine bar is 2018. So now it's a lot of busy work. The wine bar most likely it's why it's taking so long is there will be excavation. We will go down into the earth of San Francisco, which will be a big undertaking, but it's where we need to place bottles, and so it'll feel like a real cellar for sure.
It'll actually be a real cave.
Yes, it will be a cave.
For you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Fantastic. And the oil is just kind of pooling around the egg. So good.
Oh yeah, that's really good. That Meyer lemon,
Oh my God.
when you get a big bite of it, so the Meyer lemon just sort of pops amidst the rich egg.
It's
really,
so good.
it's really nice.
Cheers. Thank you
Cheers.
so much. This is just delicious.
I'll come back
you guys.
anytime
Thank
for
you,
you.
Gayle. We
because-
would love to have you
yeah,
come back.
and we'll come up with another recipe that your readers love.
The infinite possibilities
The
of the
infinite
egg.
possibilities.
Cheers.
Cheers.